What is going on, guys? How are we doing on the eve of the New England Patriots start of the 2021 training camp? I know that we already have a couple people waiting in the room already, so big shout out to you, yo boy, Felix. I think he was the first one in today's chat, so big shout out to you, man. I know we're a little bit later than I originally said, so my apologies. Was having some technical difficulties here. Did not want to connect, so hopefully, cross our fingers, we don't have issues today. But we are going to get into training camp for today's live stream because this is the eve of training camp. Let's celebrate, right? Let's get hype. Let's celebrate the start of training camp. Like always, guys, I want to start off by saying this because I already feel like I'm going to get a lot of questions about this. I already gotten some, so I want to address it. I will be covering every single day of training camp. Now, I will be trying to get down there myself for a couple of days. I won't be down there every single day, unfortunately, but I will still have you covered with every single day of training camp. Every single day, I will make an individual video recapping the day of training camp. Very, very important. I did this last year with training camp. I've done this with mini camp. I've done this with OTAs, even this off season. So that is something that you guys can 100% look forward to. And then the days that I am actually myself physically able to go, you guys will get some of my own pictures, some of the own videos that I took. Like always, those will be posted up here on YouTube for the videos. And then if you want to see the pictures and whatnot, go ahead and check out my Twitter, my Instagram, all that good stuff. But we're going to get into that, but let's keep the comments as much to training camp related as we possibly can. I understand not all the questions are probably going to be based off of training camp, but again, because we are talking a lot about training camp mostly, let's try to keep it as much to training camp as we can. Brandon Flores is our first donator of today's chat. Brandon, buddy, I appreciate you for being here, and I appreciate you for that donation. You said first, also, hey, what's going on, Brandon? Also, Cam, Max, Stidham, or me? Brandon, I'm going to have to go with you. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. I mean, you're clearly the best quarterback. It's not even a question. But start dropping your guys' comments here. I want to say hi to everybody. So Brandon, again, what's going on? Ben, Lewis, Clemson, Jackson, what's going on? I am Ben. What is going on? Stay out of my lunchbox. What's going on? Everybody, how are we doing? Al is in the chat. Man, Al, I feel like I haven't seen you in ages. So big time also supporter of the channel. So what's going on, Al? Also, guys, yeah, your boy's rocking my training camp shirt. This was from what? What does this one say? 2019. So the last time they had training camp. This is a shirt I got when I was down there. So start asking training camp related questions here as we get some more people to roll in, and I'm going to put up the thumbnail. Nothing special today, just because I didn't really have time. Your boy was at the gym today. So this is, while everyone comes in, I'm going to share a little story about my day. All right. So today, met up with an old friend, went to the gym because, when you're going through it emotionally, you hit the gym. That's just a gimme, right? But we go to the gym for a good 3 hours, literally not even joking, at the gym for 3 hours. Guys, my body is just like I can barely lift my arms without it like shake. Like, oh, I am feeling the works today. But you know what? If there's one thing we've learned from this channel specifically, it's that hard work pays off. So that's why if I seem a little bit tired today, if I seem a little bit slower, it's because I literally woke up right to the gym and worked out for a good 3 hours. So just a little life update. Like always, I hope you guys are all, before we get into Patriots, hope you guys are all doing well. Just in general, changing, or not, I saw the word change, so I said change, but just doing well with your guys' lives and just being happy. Get out any toxic people, relationships, anything you guys are in, just drop that. Trust me, I'm telling you from experience. Just drop it. Oh, I think we got that on already. And we're looking good. But I'm trying to think if there's any updates exactly related to training camp. Now, for anybody that is looking to go to training camp, I don't know how many people we have here that are actually physically able to go to training camp, but it is going to be open to the public. So if you guys are looking to go, it is open. So feel free to head to training camp. I believe it starts at about 9:45, but let's keep in mind, it's probably not going to start more so till like 10:15, 10:10 due to stretching. So, but you guys do want to try to get there earlier than 9:45 because you want to get in line. You want to get good seats. Trust me. I don't know how it's going to be because of, the pandemic, but I can say that from my own personal experiences, things usually go pretty crazy with the crowd and the audience. So definitely, if you are able to, try and get there as early as you can. Now, I'm not saying get there at 5 a.m. because no one's going to be there, maybe a couple at max, but definitely get there earlier than 9:45 if you are looking to get some seats. That's a Patriots Global helpful tip of the day for those heading to training camp. For those wondering, hey, I'm going to training camp. I would love to see you, Patriots Global. What days are you going to be there? Like I said earlier, and for those who are just joining, unfortunately, I will not be able to go every single day. That would obviously be like a dream come true, but unfortunately, that's until I get a press pass, that's not what is going to happen here. But I'm looking to be there on Thursday and Friday. So if anybody is going to be heading to training camp Thursday or Friday, let your boy know. I would love to see you guys. I'd love to meet up with any of you guys. I would love to meet it really as much of you as possible. I'd love to give back and just meet you guys, take some pictures or whatnot in general. Get a press pass, that's not what is going to happen here. Whoopsies. That's not what we want. We don't want to hear that. But yeah, so for anyone that might be there Thursday or Friday, your boy will be there. I don't know what the weather's going to be like yet. I'm hoping it's not going to be too hot. I would love to wear my Patriots Global crew neck, but if it's too hot, I'm not going to be roasting outside. So we'll see. We'll see. But I do know that the Patriots did place a few players on the PUP list, and I think a lot of people are already freaking out about that. I feel like that's one of the big things that we do have to touch upon here. But just because you are placed on the PUP list isn't like IR. It's not like they have to be out 8 weeks. It's nothing crazy. It's not like it's season ending. Nothing like that. Okay, guys? It's just, hey, you're dealing with a little bit of injuries. You're not going to be a full go. We're going to place you on this injured list until we feel, hey, you are good enough to get back to practice. This is nothing like I said it before, injured reserve. The Patriots could place the entire team on there if they wanted to, and they can take them off at any time. A player can be placed on there for a day and be off the following. They could be on there the whole training camp. I mean, it's something the Patriots do every single year, especially to start out training camp. You're going to see a lot of guys on that list. You're going to see some key starting pieces for the team in general, both offensively and defensively on that list. But again, don't worry too much. I know Trent Brown was placed on that list. I know Kyle Van Noy was placed on that list. I don't think that Kyle Van Noy, from what I've heard, is really anything serious. Neither is Trent Brown, but Trent Brown has dealt with a lot more injuries. So I do expect Kyle Van Noy back into the fold a lot sooner, or at least just sooner in general than a Kyle Van Noy. And then guys like Cameron McGrone on there, obviously. I will say about Cameron McGrone, guys, don't expect him to be off of that. I'd be surprised if he practiced at all, again, with that injury that he's been dealing with. He had a season-ending injury back in November. So he's still dealing with that, recovering from that. He is likely an IR candidate for this entire season. No point in wasting a roster spot for a guy that isn't going to get much playing time anyway because of the depth, but also is dealing with injury. So really just won't be playing that much in general. So for those wondering about those players that have been placed on the PUP list, I hope that does give a little bit more insight to kind of how that works and to the degree of some of the players on here. Another super chat here from my guy, Brandon Flores. You said second, also you watch other sports and other teams. So for the most part, I do watch football. I'm literally 365 days a year. I am so focused on not even just the Patriots, but everything in general, because even though I do cover the Patriots, knowing all teams is very vital just in general for knowing the matchups for the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? So it is very important for me to keep track and know what's going on with all of the NFL teams and not just New England. So my mind's pretty focused on that I don't really get into much other sports or have really much time to get into a bunch of other sports. But, you know, sometimes I'll watch basketball. Rarely I'll watch some baseball, but obviously Boston teams, number one, got to stick with them. Those are the teams that I would watch, but sometimes also just watch like randomly whatever's on. I mean, I watch football games that aren't just the Patriots. So, but again, yeah, for the most part, it really is just football. But Brandon, thank you for your donation. Really, really appreciate it. Let's see what else we got going in today's chat. So Ben J does ask a very, very interesting question, actually. One that I don't think I've really seen anybody else ask. So I really did want to touch upon this one. And that is, out of everything that has been said in the media, what is the rumor that has really stuck with you and that I want to pay attention to? I definitely want to pay attention to Chase Winovich just because I want to see how the Patriots are utilizing him. They haven't loved how he's played at DE just because he's pretty one-dimensional, great at getting to the quarterback, but not a huge arsenal of moves in that sense, but also not good at stopping the run. Do they play him more at middle linebacker? Like we saw him do that a little bit here. I think it was against the Ravens. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was against the Ravens we saw it, and he didn't do bad. Is that an area in which they tried to kind of play him more, especially with all the depth at defensive end? So that is a big question mark I have, especially with, you know, so many people saying, hey, maybe Chase Winovich could be a trade candidate, can be kind of a piece the Patriots lure out to maybe get another player or draft capital of the sorts. Maybe a last minute move. So that's definitely a storyline that me personally, I am watching. But just in general, Stephon Gilmore, I think, is probably one of the biggest ones that everybody is wondering about. Everybody is just keeping an eye on because we know that he was holding out, but we also know that he reported to training camp or he reported to practice or, you know, whatever they're doing right now. He reported that even though he was holding out in minicamp and OTAs. Is he doing that because he doesn't want to lose any more money? Or is he doing that because there is a contract in play? Obviously, we're hoping the second one, and I'm hoping that they can get an extension done with him. I don't know about you guys, but I do have anxiety going into a season with both of our starting corners, both two of the best corners in the game, in contract year. That worries me a lot. So I would love to get at least one of them locked up past this season. And I think Stephon Gilmore could really be the guy that the Patriots do look to potentially do that with. I know that he's been linked back to maybe like a Darius Slay contract. I could see them giving him maybe a 2-year extension, which means that they would have him under contract for 3 years. But then they could also do the normal thing and just bump up his pay for this final year he's with the team, which I hope they don't do. Again, I do hope that they get him signed longer term because the secondary is going to have a lot of questions with both of those guys if are being free agents at the end of the season. So crossing my fingers that they can do something with at least one of those guys. But those are definitely some of the storylines that personally I am watching as we enter camp. Clemson, I'm also pumped for the football season. So Sam, you also ask a good question. You also are a big time commenter of the channel too. So big shout out to you. But you ask about Asiasi. Obviously, haven't really made a video on this. Don't know if I should or not. Let me know if you guys want to see a video on Asiasi. There's not really too much to say about it. YouTube also doesn't like when we talk about the pandemic, as YouTubers don't know why. Don't know why, but it's like cursing the entire video in YouTube's mind. But Asiasi will be out for a little bit. From what I understand, he was diagnosed with the pandemic I'm just going to use that. I'm going to say with the pandemic so that we don't get demonetized, but was diagnosed with that about 5 days ago, actually. So kind of shocking that it just came out, but he was diagnosed with that a few days ago. And he did get the vaccine, which is really interesting. He got the vaccine, still got it. So as long as he doesn't have symptoms, he could return in a couple of days easily. Like, he might not be out there tomorrow, but he could be out there the following day. I don't expect him to be out long. It doesn't sound like he has it too severe. So I do expect he'll be back into the mold pretty quick, or the fold pretty quick. I'm pinning him in right now in as tight end 3, just because they just drafted him. They also traded up for him. He's younger and he has more potential than a Matt LaCosse. Now, Matt LaCosse might be more NFL ready. I mean, obviously he has more time in the Patriots system, but Matt LaCosse also was out for 2020, and the Patriots can save more money by rolling with Asiasi versus rolling with Matt LaCosse. So I do believe ultimately Matt LaCosse is going to be let go. To what extent, we'll have to see. Maybe they try to use him as a trade bait a little bit. I don't know exactly if that would work out or what they'd get from him. Teams are probably smart enough to know the team's just going to release him. But hey, maybe there's a team that would offer like a 7th round pick in return for him, so that they can land him for a very needy tight end team. But again, I do believe Asiasi will at some point take over as tight end 3, and I think he'll make the Patriots final roster. What does Dalton Keene do? I don't know. I think overall we saw more potential from Devin Asiasi, and I think Asiasi showed more potential on the field, although he was dealing with some rough times in 2020 in his personal life and wasn't on the field for a good amount of time. I still think that he will roll in as tight end 3. I know we talked a lot about running 12 personnel sets offensively, but maybe the Patriots from time to time would run 13 personnel. And for those who don't know exactly what that is, I'm not going to get exactly into it, but long story short, what it means: 2 tight ends, 12 personnel, and then 3 tight ends, 13 personnel. Basically, essentially what that is, and having a certain amount of wide receivers and running backs on the field, but that doesn't really matter in the sense of what we're talking about. So a 13 personnel, again, would be running those 3 tight ends, which Patriots never really do, but the Patriots also never really had this many tight ends. I don't really see them saying, all right, we're done. We're done with both of the 3rd round tight ends that we traded up for just a year ago. And again, I do think that Asiasi has ability as a receiver. And I think, from what I understand, he's looking really good, and he's looking like he's definitely improved since 2020. But he's obviously not going to get in front of Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith. So again, I think if they want to get him on the field, it's going to have to come down to injuries, which, knock on wood, that doesn't happen, or running 13 personnel. Skip, what is going on? So there's another good question here. What do you expect from Ronnie Perkins, or what should you expect from Ronnie Perkins? Don't expect much. Don't expect much straight off the bat, I should say. I think Ronnie Perkins was a good pick by the Patriots overall. I wasn't crazy about the team taking a defensive end high because we have so much depth there, but I think they just said, how the heck is the guy still here? We have to take him, which I understand. I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather them grab a player who's going to work for them, even if they have a lot of depth there, versus getting a player who, maybe we don't have as much depth at, but isn't going to be as talented, or really isn't going to work out as well. So overall, I do like the addition, but we have so much depth there right now that I just don't really see him getting in. He'll get snaps from time to time, but it won't be like the rookies got last year. And even the rookies last year, some of them didn't get too much play time. And now we have so much depth in front of him that he really will barely get on the field. Special teams is going to be the main area that I think you'll see Ronnie Perkins for his rookie season. And then year 2 is, I think, when we'll talk more about him potentially getting in here into the mix. But didn't really hear anything from him from minicamp or OTAs. Again, so much depth in front of him. That's a big reason why. Hoping that we'll see a little bit more, hear a little bit more from him as we enter training camp. And I hope that they use him a good amount in the preseason, just to give us a feel for, hey, what is Ronnie Perkins going to give the Patriots? We're expecting a guy who's going to be able to stop the run and get to the quarterback very well and efficiently in both stages. Is that someone who is going to translate to the field, though? We saw that in college. is that going to translate to the NFL? I'm really excited to see that. And I really hope, again, that they do use him in the preseason and not just players that we see all the time. But that's my expectations for Ronnie Perkins. Really nothing crazy. And again, I don't think you should expect anything crazy from Ronnie Perkins, a rookie. And again, so much depth in front of him. So, Belichick doesn't really like to play rookies that much. Let me see. I'm trying to go to the in-stadium practice. I might go to that. I might not. I don't know. It depends if I want to make the trip again. But I thought about it. For those who don't know, in-stadium practice open to the public August 10th. So if you want to go to Gillette Stadium and you want to get in for free, August 10th is your time. Going to the first preseason game with the Mac debut. Oh, it's going to be nice. I think that's against what, the Redskins? No, I don't want to answer that question just because it's not really about training camp. But maybe we'll come back. I'm trying to find a good training camp related question. A lot of people talking about Cam in here. Light Shadows, what's going on? Yeah, I think Light Shadows does make a very interesting point here. And that's what's going to happen with some of these players on the bubble. You know what I'm saying? And I've touched upon this many times in videos and live streams. We talk about it in the Discord chat for the Patreon members. So if you want to become a Patreon member, go right ahead. But what's going to happen with guys like Sony Michel? What's going to happen with guys like N'Keal Harry? Maybe you throw Chase Winovich in there. Maybe you don't. I hope they don't, but we'll just have to see. But guys that could potentially be traded, do the Patriots try to trade them mid-camp? Do the Patriots trade them after the preseason? If I had to guess, I would say the Patriots essentially want to keep those guys just because, too, you don't know what's going to happen with injuries, right? You don't know what's going to happen with a Damian Harris. He looks great one day. Next day, he's tearing his ACL again. Knock on wood with me, guys, that does not happen, but injuries happen all the time in preseason, in training camp, literally all the time. Training camp, I don't even think started for the Rams, or maybe it did start, but their running back tore his ACL, I believe it was. I believe he tore his ACL or his Achilles. One of those. He tore one of them, and he's out for the season now. They didn't even get divulged into really training camp or preseason, obviously, not let alone even the regular season. So last-minute unexpected injuries can happen at any time. So I think the Patriots want to keep these guys just in case at the end of the day. Belichick likes to roll with guys who know the system more than guys who might be slightly more talented that are just on the open market. And there's really not even that much people on the open market currently. So I think essentially what he wants to do is keep those guys. And then maybe when preseason rolls along and they have to start cutting down players, maybe then that is when he decides to trade them. That would be my best guess. But I do also agree. Stidham could potentially be a guy on the move. I would watch a team like the Texans. Now, this all does depend also on, hey, what's going to happen with Brian Hoyer. If Brian Hoyer is out a job because he refuses to get the vaccine, then maybe that means the Patriots don't want to trade Stidham, because I do still see the team rolling with 3 quarterbacks. At the end of the day, you do have to go for unexpected bad play. You also have to go in for injuries, potential pandemic issues. Does Cam Newton want to stay in New England if he's not the starting quarterback? So I would essentially say if something bad goes down with Brian Hoyer, then the Patriots might just hold on to Jarrett Stidham. But I think the Texans are a team to watch if they do trade Deshaun Watson, just because of the familiarity between the teams. But yeah, I already touched on the Asiasi. Brent, what is going on? I'm trying to see, do I have a picture of my Patriots record on here? I did make a video on my early record prediction. So if you are interested in hearing some of my early thoughts on it, go ahead and check that out. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I still have the photo saved of when I did my predictions, because I might be able to pop it up on the screen then, which that would be ideal. Just give me 1 second, y'all. I am very sorry. I think I only have the picture of the schedule, but I mean, I guess that works better than nothing. And I can kind of go out and give you guys kind of my current thoughts on it. And then at some point I do want to make a video on like my final record prediction. Usually I'll do 2, and then I'll like do it right after the preseason. And because there's not 4 preseason games, it might work out actually better for me. But that's probably what I'll do, is when I'll do like my final record prediction. But things have changed, I would say, definitely since my first record prediction I did on the channel. Not drastically, but definitely still changed a little bit. But I would still watch that video for just my general thoughts if you haven't already. Okay, some of the stuff didn't save it, that's why. But let me add that. Okay. There we go. So this is the Patriots 2021 schedule. Obviously, I think everybody should know that by now. Before we do actually hop into that, we just got a big donation here that I, of course, want to give a big shout out to. So longtime supporter, longtime subscriber, Red Sox is in the chat yet again, gives a big $10 donation. So big shout out to you, Red Sox. Very much appreciate that. You said Pats will most likely trade N'Keal Harry during training camp and sign a wideout. All the other trades and signings I don't expect until roster cut downs. Yeah, N'Keal could be an exception to that. I think it also depends on how he's performing, along with, hey, is he complaining? If the Patriots really feel like, damn, if we keep him, his draft stock is going to go down, then I could see a trade. But I could also see them trying to hype him up in the preseason, like in the couple of preseason games we have, and then trying to raise that draft stock a little bit. I mean, are they going to be okay with just getting a 6th-round pick in return? I don't know. I think Bill might want to push it a little bit, see if he can get something a little bit more. It just seems like something Bill would do. I mean, he's not even done his rookie contract. Is Bill really going to want to say, fine, I wasted a 1st-round pick, but I'll take a 6th round in return for him? I don't know. But the other guys, like I said, I do agree, are probably roster cut down, trades like they did last minute. Like a Keon Crossan was a guy that we all liked, a good player on special teams, good depth piece as a rotational cornerback, but the Patriots had too many players and they had to release guys and get down to 53 players. So they had to trade him. And I think this team's even more stacked than it was that year. So I think we definitely could see a few trades. But big shout out to you, Red Sox. Really appreciate it. But to get into this, excuse me, guys, I had to get a drink. But obviously, I think week 1 is going to be a dub. I know a lot of people kind of have like week 2 or week 7 as a loss for the Patriots. I think the Jets will be good and they always play tough games. But I'm still going to say that the Patriots beat the Jets both times here. So I think week 2 is a win. Michael Thomas out week 3. Chris Hogan will be there as long as he doesn't get cut. But obviously, those two are nothing alike. I think they'll still have a lot of question marks, and I think it will be a good game, but I do still think that ultimately the Patriots do end up winning that one. Tampa Bay, I'm just going to say it. This one's probably a loss for the Patriots. It's a very exciting game, but I'm just going to say the Patriots will lose this one. Tampa Bay is obviously coming off a Super Bowl win. Tom Brady. They're a more talented team on paper. I mean, don't really know what else you got to say about that. Houston, if the Patriots lose this game, I might go bonkers. It's time to beat Houston again. Okay, there's no excuse why we should not beat Houston. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. Dallas is an interesting one. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that game. It could be a win. It could be a loss. I'm going to come back to this game. I'm going to come back to this game at the end. I think the Jets is another win. I think the Chargers, I think they got a little better, but the Patriots blew them out last time. I just don't think they made enough moves to get completely better, especially because it's like not like the Patriots got worse. Like the Patriots continuously got better also. So I think that this is going to be a dub, although I've seen a lot of people say it's going to be an L for the Patriots, but I still think it's going to be a dub. Carolina, I'm going to say that the Patriots win that game. I don't know if the Panthers did enough to get better also. The Patriots also know how to play Sam Darnold. They've played him twice a year for multiple years now. They know how to play Sam Darnold. So I'm really not too worried about this game. I'm going to say that this is another dub for the Patriots. Going into Cleveland, I'm going to say that this is a loss for the Patriots. I would say Cleveland is a slightly better team on paper. Pretty underrated team also, as long as their coaching staff doesn't have issues and they're not dealing with too many big injuries. I'm going to say that Cleveland rolls out with this win. Like this is a more tough game than people realize. Atlanta, I've seen a lot of people talk about Atlanta. I'm not sure why people are talking about Atlanta so much, but I think Atlanta is going to be a fun game. But I definitely don't think the team did enough defensively to be talking about improving that much. The offense looks great, of course, adding Kyle Pitts, but you also traded Julio Jones. I don't really think they took a step forward, really, maybe slightly, but nothing big. So I'm still going to say, hey, Atlanta, that's going to be a win for the Patriots. Some people are trying to make this seem like a Super Bowl 51 rematch. It's not. It's literally not at all. Both of these teams, so different than when they played in Super Bowl 51. The coaching staff for the Falcons isn't even the same, let alone the personnel. And they also played against each other already since that match happened. So this is not a rematch at all. So versus the Tennessee Titans, I think I had this one as a win before, just because of some of the issues the Titans were going through this offseason. After adding Julio Jones, I'm going to say that the Tennessee Titans are gonna win again. The Patriots kryptonite, like, I don't know what it is about facing head coaches that are former Patriots, but it just never works out. Matt Patricia and the Lions never worked out for the Patriots. Who else was it? I mean, even versus the Titans, the Patriots always have issues. Like former Belichick disciples never seem to go well when we face them. And I do think that Tennessee is a good team. I thought the Patriots would be able to win the game because of some of the losses and also kind of that 1-2 punch I thought was missing with Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis both out of the building, but then you added Julio Jones. So I think that 1-2 punch is pretty safe to say it's back. So I'm just going to say the Patriots kind of struggle here defensively with what the Tennessee Titans will throw, and that Tennessee will end up coming out with that win. But Buffalo, I'm going to say the Patriots go back and forth here with Buffalo. So they're going to win one and they're going to lose one. I believe the first game is in Buffalo. I think they'll lose the one in Buffalo, which I believe is this week. So I'm going to say they lose this game, week 13. But they have a week 14 bye, so they should be sitting at a pretty good position to work out anything that they're dealing with, but also a late bye week. So they're dealing with a lot of potential injuries at this time, which could be a reason why, hey, you lose weeks 12 and 13 because you're also dealing with injuries around your personnel. Week 14 is finally that time where they'll be able to kind of refresh themselves and be able to come out with that dub. hopefully that gets into week 15, and week 15 is a big question mark for me. Like, week 15 is one of those things where I'm going to go back and forth with myself several times up until we start seeing how the Colts play. I think if Carson Wentz looks like the original version of Carson Wentz, the Patriots lose this game. But if Carson Wentz looks like how he has the past couple of seasons, the Patriots are winning this game. So I can't exactly say, will the Patriots win or lose this game, because there is a lot of question marks just around the quarterback position. I know that they've been really linked back to a lot of different tight ends. If they are able to acquire a Zach Ertz or another tight end, then maybe this becomes a little bit more set in stone as a potential loss. But I do think that the Colts are a good team. They have a good coaching staff. They have a good head coach, and they have a good team from offense to defense. Like, this is a very good team that is underrated and will definitely make the playoffs. I think it just all depends on, hey, how is Carson Wentz going to play? And that's going to be very telling on, do the Patriots win or lose this game? I'm going to give Carson Wentz the benefit of the doubt here and say that, hey, he's going to actually, no, I'm going to say the Patriots ultimately come out with this. I mean, they lost weeks 12 and they lost week 13 coming off a bye week. The Patriots aren't always good coming off a bye week, kind of surprising, but they aren't one of the better teams in the NFL at coming off of their bye week. But with having them weeks 12 and 13 losing, I just can't have them losing another one in a row after that bye week. So I'm going to say right now that they do beat the Colts, but this is a very, very, very tough one to predict, honestly. It's going to be very telling on, hey, how does Carson Wentz play? But as for here in Buffalo, like I said, I have them splitting, so I will say the Patriots win one of these matchups. I think it'll be the one at home. Enough said there. Jacksonville, I've seen a lot of people talk about this matchup and how it's going to be tougher than people realize. Hey, maybe Trevor Lawrence by the end of the season is going to be playing really well, but he literally has 0 weapons. So I just don't know why people are acting like this is going to be a tough game. Patriots win against Jacksonville, and then I already have them winning week 1 against Miami. So I'm going to have to say that they lose week 18, just because I've tried to say the Patriots, beat out Miami completely a few different times, and it never happens. For some reason, the football gods just want the Patriots and the Dolphins every single year to split. The Patriots should have ended that a couple of seasons ago, and then the Miami Miracle happened. Like, it's a thing that happens. The Patriots will likely be resting a lot of starters this week in order to enter the playoffs. So I'm going to say that this is also a loss, meaning that I would have the Patriots losing what? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have them losing between 4 to 5 games. That's my prediction here. 4 to 5 games. I'm going to say they lose. Let's roll with. I'm going to say they lose about 5 games. My honorable mentions here is Dallas week 6 and week 15, the Colts. I think these are 2 very, very tough ones for me to predict right now. It depends on how the Patriots are playing, but it also depends on how those teams are playing also. I think Dallas made some very underrated moves this offseason. Obviously, getting Dak Prescott back is going to be huge. I mean, just huge for that team also. But did they make enough moves kind of within that secondary? Again, they did make some good moves within that secondary. I won't exactly say at cornerback, but within free safety and just safety in general, strong safety, they made some good moves there. So will they be able to be good enough within that secondary is really my big question. But they obviously added Micah Parsons, who's going to be a really nice piece for them also. And just that offense in general, Zeke is looking really good. So, I mean, again, week 6, week 15, very tough ones to currently predict. You're going to have a couple of weeks to see how these teams are playing before I can, confidently say, hey, this is going to be a win or a loss, or at least see how they're doing in training camp and then go from there, which is, again, why my more accurate and final predictions for the Patriots 2021 season will come after the preseason. But I will say they lose probably 4 to 5 games, with me rolling more so towards 5, losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, losing to Cleveland, losing to Tennessee, losing to Buffalo, losing a week in Miami, and then losing another week at some point in there, potentially week 6 or potentially week 15. So those are kind of my thoughts right now overall with the Pats. But real quick, shout out here to Brandon Flores, another donation, third donation, I believe, of the day. So Brandon, you are rolling out hard today. Really appreciate you, bro. You said, do you think Cam will have a better year? And see, dog. I would say Cam will have a better year. How long will he be with the Patriots? From what I'm understanding, Cam Newton isn't looking or isn't sounding as great as I think he's trying to make himself sound. I don't know how legit this is, but I did hear a rumor that, there are players within the Patriots locker room that believe Cam Newton isn't the same guy and that, Mac Jones should be the guy that gets the week 1 start. So, and Belichick even today, like I will say, let me get the schedule off the screen real quick. I don't know why that's still up there. But Belichick did say today in his press conference how, it's a restart for everybody at every position, all the players, the coaching staff, for everybody. It's just the restart button. And they said even the quarterbacks, and he said, all positions. Normally, even when the Patriots drafted Mac Jones, it was, this is Cam's job. It's Cam's job to lose. Instead of saying that, he's saying, it's really open. So Belichick kind of confirmed, but also didn't confirm at the same time that this kind of is an open quarterback competition. And if those rumors about Cam Newton not being the same guy are true, then Mac Jones really could step in and win that starting job. Now, I do believe that they should roll with Cam Newton until Mac Jones is 100% confident, 100% ready. It's better to maybe lose a couple more games than to lose the longevity of the development of Mac Jones. I care more about the future of the Patriots. I want them to be more successful, go to the Super Bowl, go to the playoffs several more times into the future and have Mac Jones be that guy than for us to hinder that development just to win maybe a couple more games for the 2021 season. So as long as he's 100% ready, 100% confident, then okay, put him in. But if he's honestly not 100% ready and 100% confident, just start Cam Newton, a veteran who still knows what he's doing. I think he has juice still left in him. Obviously not the better passer of the two, but has a more mobility to him. And I think he will be better with better weapons also. Now, I don't think he's going to be night and day better, but I do think that he obviously will be better with much upgraded weapons there at tight end. Also wide receiver, of course, but I think tight end is really going to be a bigger factor than a lot of people realize. Oh, shoot. I did not mean to go that far down. Browns will win. Tampa will be a legit tough game for us. Patriots media thinks Browns, Titans, Colts, Bills, Dolphins are the losses. Patriots go 12-5. I don't disagree with that. I don't. Like, if I go based off of my original thoughts, it would be the Colts and the Patriots beat the Cowboys. But I know the Cowboys, they're looking pretty good from what we've seen. And maybe the Colts still have a little bit of question marks. So I am kind of deciding still. I'm a little bit indecisive about which one of those I would say is the loss. But originally, I did say the loss was the Colts. So if I'm going to roll with what I originally said, then I would completely agree with you. So yeah, I think that's a good take. Do I have any ideas for the final roster? Not exactly. Honestly, I think that's a really good idea for me to make as like a way too early Patriots roster prediction. I've wanted to make that for a while now, and I haven't. Maybe that's something I'll do tonight. Maybe that's something that I record tonight is like a way too early roster predictions video. Usually I do a couple of those before the final roster is made, and I know you guys like those. Kind of give some insight and some of my thoughts on, how who the guys are that could potentially make the team and who maybe some of the surprise cuts could potentially be also. So I'm not going to talk too much about that because I think that's a video that I'm going to drop because honestly, I have been struggling with video ideas and I've also been very busy. So I apologize for being so inactive lately. But also nothing has been happening with the Patriots. So there really hasn't been too much to talk about. especially with video ideas. So I think that's going to be a really good idea. So honestly, thank you for that. Thank you for that video idea. I think it's Hollis. I think I'm saying that right. Let's find some more questions. Would have liked to crush the Dolphins twice this year. I mean, I agree, but I also think the Dolphins are a very good team. Like, they're underrated. Genuinely, like, they are genuinely a team that I think some people, like, they're legit. They're a legit team is what I'm basically trying to say. Now, I know the Patriots are good within the final week of the regular season. So maybe they can pull out that win. But with starters put to the side and the fact that I have them winning week 1, if the football gods have anything to do with it, they'll probably lose, the last week. And I honestly rather them lose the final week than them lose week 1. So if I could trade a player on the roster, who would it be and why? I mean, there's a lot of players that could be traded. You hate to see anyone go. But I mean, Sony Michel has to be one of them, right? Like, I love Sony Michel and that 1-2 punch of him and Damian Harris, especially when it comes to injuries. But at the same time, you could get something out of him versus you're potentially most likely letting him walk at the end of the season anyway. And you spend a first-round pick on him. I think that Sony is a much underrated running back in the system than a lot of fans realize, especially this past season. With more opportunities, he would have had potentially his best season yet. He was averaging more yards than ever before and was taking a big step forward compared to the 2019 season, which he had a pretty slumped sophomore season. I think we can all agree. But I think that there'll be some teams interested in him. I think they could potentially pull out a 5th round pick in return for him. A lot of people might not like that, but you're not going to get too much for running backs. It's just, there's really not a high demand for them. And he's nothing like too special. He's not a huge game changer or anything like that. So I think a 5th round pick is pretty reasonable in that aspect. And Belichick likes 5th round picks. So maybe he decides to ship him off there. And I would also like to see the Patriots use more like JJ Taylor. I'd like to see them, maybe give a few more, run snaps to James White. And maybe they run Brandon Bolden a little bit more, which I don't mind. I think Brandon Bolden is underrated in general. And it looks like we're lagging a little bit. So I'm going to put a picture up here just because I know we're lagging. We'll do like that. Just because I know right now I'm lagging. I don't want you guys to be like, yo, why is his face jumping? But other honorable mentions, obviously N'Keal Harry. I think at this point, N'Keal Harry is probably like the favorite to get traded just because there's Sony Michel at least would serve more of a purpose than N'Keal would. At this point, there's really no purpose for N'Keal. So that's probably one of the bigger names that I think everyone would be like, all right, we're fine with seeing him go. And then one I named in my video about a few players the Patriots could trade, which shocked a good amount of people, was Byron Cowart, the defensive tackle. I believe the Patriots spent a 5th round pick. Was it a 5th round pick? I think it was in 2019, in the 2019 draft on getting him. Showed some potential, but the Patriots also have a lot of other defensive tackles that they've added this offseason. he could be on the outside looking in here. I think that he's a guy that definitely could get picked up by another team, and that he's someone who I think the Patriots would love to get on the practice squad, but I just don't think he would. Maybe instead of just straight up cutting him, they see, hey, can we get, maybe like a 6th-round pick in return for him, something like that. So I could see that being something that potentially happens. Yeah. Brent makes a point that I mentioned earlier, maybe potentially trading a Matt LaCosse. Now, I don't know how many teams would be interested in it. I think any smart team would know the Patriots are just going to straight up release him, but maybe there's teams out there that go, well, we don't want to have to, sign him to another contract. Maybe they think that they can get, maybe they think that the contract the Patriots have him on is less than, they would have to sign him as a free agent. Maybe they think that multiple teams would be trying to bark at him to sign with them. So maybe a team does send like a 6th or 7th round pick the Patriots way in a trade for Matt LaCosse. I don't know if they would, but maybe. I think Matt LaCosse does have some pretty good potential. I think he'd be a good number 2 tight end somewhere. And there are some definitely tight end needy teams in the NFL, and the Patriots definitely are not one of them. I think that they'd rather roll with Asiasi at this point as TE3 than Matt LaCosse. But is Brian Hoyer practicing tomorrow? From what I understand, actually, I can even change that picture too, because I think I have a picture of the quarterbacks. I do, but you can like kind of see the background still. But is Brian Hoyer practicing tomorrow? From what I understand, no, because he isn't vaccinated. I don't know. I think if you're vaccinated, you can't be around anyone, period. Or it might just be if you're not vaccinated, you can't be in the meetings. That just might be what it is. I know, like, for the Steelers, and this might be just dependent on different teams, but I know for the Steelers, players that were not vaccinated had to wear a yellow wristband so that people knew, like, kind of like caution, stay away potentially if you're worried or whatnot. But these are the players that aren't vaccinated. Maybe the Patriots do something like that. Maybe they don't. But obviously the Steelers were letting players still practice that were not vaccinated. But again, every team is going to be different. And we do know that Brian Hoyer's job might be on the edge because he does not want to get that vaccine. So we'll just have to see how things go. He could practice tomorrow, and it might just be that he can't be in the meetings. Or maybe the Patriots say, hey, you don't want to get vaccinated. We don't want you here, period. But I don't know how strict exactly New England is on those pandemic rules, specifically as the team. But I know from what we understand, the large majority of New England's team is vaccinated. So, interesting fact. Let's see, what other questions do we got? Also, y'all, while we are at it, I do want to just give a quick shout out to my sponsors of Patriots Global. Here at Patriots Global, we are sponsored by betonline.ag. They have been a big help to this channel all around. So big shout out to them, guys, for all of your betting needs. Make sure you guys do check out betonline.ag. Betonline is the fastest, the easiest way to bet on all of your sports action. They have every sport you could possibly think of. Pros, even college level sports. Also, they also cover awards, TV show, and reality TV if that is more your cup of tea and not sports. They also have regular betting that you can do with blackjack, poker, any of that casual stuff you could find at a casino. They also have real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine, and they have you covered for all of the news, scores, and odds. And it's the best way to place your bets, and it's 100% free to sign up. If you guys are interested, go ahead and go to their website or use your mobile device to say today to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. And don't forget to use that promo code CLNS50 to receive a 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. So big shout out to them. Let's change the picture here. Are we done lagging? I think we're done lagging. I think we can take it off. All right, period. You can also tell that your boy needs to shower still from the gym. I didn't get to do that yet. Do we got a Bills fan in here? Didn't Harry request a trade? Yes. Harry's agent technically requested the trade on behalf of Harry, but Harry is still going to Patriots training camp. Smart of him to do, it's a bad look for him if he didn't. Also, no point in wasting money, because if he doesn't go to training camp, he is fined. Now, someone does make a good point here, and that's about Sony Michel. Sony Michel is young. He does still have gas, and I completely agree with you. I 100% agree with you that Sony Michel does still have stuff left in the tank, and the Patriots were really utilizing him a lot. Like, he was the Patriots' #1 running back there up until Damien Harris has emerged. Maybe they really split those reps in half between Damien Harris and Sony Michel so that they are so rejuvenated for the entire game, so that those guys aren't getting tired. And then that 1-2 punch is constantly energized of Sony Michel and Damien Harris when you're, tiring out that defensive line in front of you and those starters. Again, the Patriots with that 1-2 punch of Damien Harris and Sony Michel are still so energized because there's not one specific guy and they're really split in half, that they can continue to just run down the throats of opposing defenses. Maybe that's something that the Patriots like to do, and I'm not opposed to it. Don't get me wrong. I love Sony Michel, but obviously from a business standpoint, we can't deny the fact that maybe he's someone the Patriots could trade. So one thing I want to say, this isn't a question I got, but something that I think a lot about when I'm thinking of training camp this year is the Patriots defensive line. When it comes to the interior defensive linemen, or it just comes to the edge rushers, I am extremely, extremely excited. Like, that is probably, it might just be the #1 thing that I'm looking forward to. Might be. It's super tough to pick just one. But if my top thing, it might just be that defensive line. I'm super excited to see all the edge rushers we have. I'm so excited to see Josh Uche and his development. I'm excited to see Matt Judon, but I'm excited to see Christian Barmore, Devon Godchow. I'm excited to see the new, completely revamped defensive line and how that's going to play, because that is the point of attack. We always talk about the secondary. We talk about these linebackers, but that defensive line, that is the point of attack. That is where the first point of attack is going to happen when it comes to that opposing offense, whether it's a passing play, whether it's a running play. That defensive line is the first thing that really has to do with every single opposing offensive play. So, that could really, really make a huge difference to a game and really the defense in general. So I'm super, super excited to see how that is going to pan out, especially for someone like Josh Uche, who, from what we hear, is having an amazing offseason so far. Did I see that Xavier Howard's news that he's requested a trade? I know that he's unhappy with his contract, but I haven't heard anything official that he's actually requested a trade. From what I understand, it's more speculation, and that, teams are saying, oh, he's unhappy with his contract. Maybe the team decides to trade him. Here's some places he could go to, but I don't think he's actually come out and said, I don't want to be here in Miami, trade me. It's more so of a, hey, they just reworked his contract a year ago. He had an outstanding season, led the league in interceptions, and now he's like, dude, I just led the league in interceptions. Give me another contract. I want more money, which obviously is annoying for the team because, hey, we just signed you to a contract last year. Yeah, you had a great season, but a year later now you're saying you're going to hold out because you had a great season and now you want more money. Like, what if he has a down season now? And they're like, dude, really? You know what I'm saying? So I understand the frustration there on both sides, but I do think ultimately they will want to keep him, and they'll probably give him a few extra million to try to stay with the team. But You know, if it's a situation where he's like, yo, I want like $7 million in a raise, maybe they go, ooh, yeah, no, we're good. We're going to ship you off and get some compensation for you. Obviously, they have guys like Byron Jones and, Eric Rowe, other guys who are able to get the job done. But obviously, that would still be a very, very big loss for them. But I think some people are hyping it up a little bit too much. He hasn't actually fully requested a trade from the team and has said he doesn't want to be there. It's more so, hey, I just want more money. But guys, if you are going to training camp, again, Thursday and Friday, I'm looking to be there. I'm going to try to wear my Patriots Global merch as long as it is not too hot. If you want to grab some Patriots Global merch and stand out in the crowd at training camp or just in general, make sure you guys check out our shop, our Patriots Global shop. Got a whole bunch of merch, whether you're looking for mugs, shirts, sweatshirts, whatever. Got you covered. New designs always coming. Take a look.
Before we do hop into today's video, though, I do want to give you guys a little update that your boy has decided to update his merch. We do still have all of the old stuff along with some really good new ideas that I've been working on for the past couple weeks, and more ideas will be continue to be added. Like always, if you do buy merch, send me a picture of you rocking it. I will include you in the next video. Like always, link in the description box below.
Now, there isn't a link in this description box currently, but if you guys go to my channel, my past videos, literally go to my most recent video, you go in the description, it's one of the first links. You guys can check that out. Supports me, supports the channel, and you also look phenomenal. The quality of the merch is just, honestly, blows my mind. Blows my mind. The manufacturer really is good. But Light Shadows, I appreciate it. Love what we do here. Light Shadows makes a really great point, y'all. Make sure you guys do leave a big like on this video for me. It seriously helps me in the YouTube algorithm a lot. By you guys liking the video, it does tell YouTube, hey, this is a good video. People like it. So they will, try to share it with other people and will grow the Patriots Global family even more. So just by leaving a like, you guys seriously are helping me out a ton. It takes you less than a second and it's 100% free. So if you guys don't mind, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you also turn on post notifications so you get notified for all of my videos. You guys don't want to miss out on anything, especially with training camp coming around, guys. If a player gets injured, if a player's out for the season, knock on wood, that does not happen, your boy's covering it right away along with every single day of a training camp recap. A lot of really, really great things coming because, guys, football is finally back. This drought period is finally over starting tomorrow, and football is back. So you guys are not going to want to miss that. Oliver, I totally got you, dude. I'll find you a fish dealer real great. But guys, we've been live for about an hour. Usually that's about as much as we go, between an hour and a half, depending on how much there's to talk about. Obviously, not a whole bunch to talk about here because not much has happened. But starting tomorrow, again, training camp back, a lot of great videos to come. And we're going to go live a lot more because I do know that, hey, you guys are going to have a lot more questions with now knowing how guys are performing, potential injuries. Knock on wood, it does not happen. But more news is to come. So I do appreciate you guys for watching my live stream. For all of you that stayed for the entire time, commented, for those of you who donated, means a lot to me. Again, guys, sorry for being inactive as of late. I've been going through a lot of things personally, as a lot of you guys know. So trying to get back to the grind. Obviously, this is a huge drought period for not just the Patriots, but the NFL in general. So even not too much to talk about, but want to go live more often. For those who will be at training camp Thursday and Friday, make sure you guys look out for me because I will be looking out for all of the members of the Patriots Global family. More content is to come. Make sure you guys like it. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys share it. Most importantly, make sure you comment because I want to hear your thoughts. Like always, I appreciate and love each and every single one of you. But go Pats.